Hi, welcome back. Today I want to talk about my experience for the first time of truly using 100% of my software on Linux for producing a physical novel for my wife. She recently did a translation of one of her books into English. It is this one right here. It's called Warrior Woman. It is a book about someone that gets cancer and goes through the process of, getting that fixed and everything, and just how their life goes throughout the entire story. I did use a combination of Krita, which was used for doing the cover, which, is pretty nice, and it spans all the way to the back of the book. And I'll show some better images too. A combination of few things in Krita were used. One of them was Comfy UI. I did use the AI image generation to help with the image, to place different things in the image and alter the image quite a bit using the assistance of the AI tool. I've honestly used that for removing acne on people's skin in photos. I actually tested that. It actually does work. But other than that, I used GIMP very little. It was mainly Krita and Scribus. Scribus was obviously used for like the interior of the book. You can see some of the stuff here that I did here. I did drop caps for the first letter in each chapter, and I have a very consistent with the chapter beginning and the beginning of the words below. So I got that to be very consistent. Each chapter starts on the right page of the book when you're looking down at it. We decided to do some of this in color. So these are other books that are in Spanish currently. I do got to work on the ebook of this and the ebook of the Spanish version, which that's actually very easy to do. There's plenty of software on Linux to do that. And even some publishing sites like Amazon KDP, Ingram Spark, they can usually help you create that from the PDF that you uploaded for the original paperback or hardback. It was the first time I fully used Scribus. I used it in the past on her very, very first book. Did not like it. This time around, I got a much more in-depth detail. I did look at another YouTuber's channel that was working on setting up Scribus and doing some book formatting. I'll link that video in the description. But going off of that video, I then went through and just really fine-tuned my use of the program, and it made it very easy. The only thing I did not do is I did not import the text into a text frame and let it auto-generate the text frames, because it wouldn't generate the text frame on the page exactly the way I wanted. So I drew out the text frames on the pages I wanted after the chapter start page. On all accompanying pages, it filled the full gap like it needed to. And I put the text in the first text frame, beginning of the chapter, and then I did the process of letting it flow into the other text frames that I created. But so far the experience was really good. Honestly, because I've been wanting for years to completely get rid of Windows. It's still on a secondary SSD in my desktop. I have removed it 100% from my laptop, my Dell laptop. But my desktop is actually next. Now that I've done this book And I've actually done some modifications to the Spanish version of this book in Scribus also just to have some more consistency in the formatting, interior formatting of her books, to be more consistent with other professional publications for books. You know, I was reading my Dune book and a few other books that I had here. I decided to open them, and I noticed there's a very consistent formatting in all of them that is pretty much the same in all of them. The spacing, you know, between the lines and the paragraphs and everything, indentations for when people are talking. So that's all stuff that I looked into to make a more consistent design for the formatting. But that is one thing, is now that I've done this, I can now know officially that I can completely get rid of Windows. Because in terms of gaming stuff that I do, only one game I have doesn't work on Linux. And honestly, I don't play that game, so it doesn't really matter. But all I can say, if you're a Linux user, I definitely recommend taking the time to learn some of these open source tools. Yes, they may be more hands-on, but once you know how to do this stuff, it makes your workflow a lot easier. Because something I did was the back cover here with the image, with the text here. What I did is inside of a Affinity publisher, I'd put the image and then I would draw a text frame and do other stuff. In Scribus, though, I made use of, I drew just one big text frame on the book, put my text the way I wanted it, formatted it the way I wanted it. And then I put the image on there and I enabled the options to make the text flow around the image frame and with good spacing around the image frame so it's not butted right up against it. But a link to this book will be in the description if anybody is interested. A link to the Spanish version will be on there. If you currently go on Amazon, you'll see a version of the book of the Spanish one that says limited availability. That one has been unpublished. We did update the Spanish version in Scribus to be more consistent with this English version. Just the covers are different, but you know, I'll put a link to both in the description and see what people think, you know. Let me know, do you have any uses for Scribus or any of the other design programs? In the past, I did talk about, you know, an interchange format between Krita, GIMP, Scribus. I do know now that there is an interchange format, but I'll be doing a video on that later for graphics that you can move from program to program, and that'll retain the layers. But like, subscribe, comment below. Go check out the book in the description, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Later.